Welcome, Bearcats and parents, back to Jackson Square. I'm coming to you today to give you some helpful tips for STAAR testing day and before STAAR testing. Sixth graders will have their math test on Monday, May 13th, and their reading test will be on Tuesday, May 14th. Before testing, please ensure that this weekend your children study for their STAAR. They have a math book in which they can go and study all of their resources. There are many cheat sheets and extra problems they can practice over the weekend. On Sunday night, make sure they go to sleep at a decent time and get a good night's rest. Some things you can do with your child over the weekend is give them some positive phrases they can say to themselves if they feel nervous or frustrated, such as, I just need to do my best, I can do it, let me just stay calm. Please make sure you answer any questions or fears that your child may have about the STAAR. And also, if they want to have a book to read after they finish their STAAR, make sure they pack it in their backpacks. On the day of STAAR testing, Monday and Tuesday, please ensure that your children have a good, healthy breakfast. If you're able to get up in the morning, make them some toast, scrambled eggs, make pancakes, make sure that they are not hungry. We're going to go through the STAAR testing, and they're going to test for 4 complete hours before they have lunch. Sixth graders are normally used to having lunch at 11:08 a.m., but we are going to have them complete the test, and then they'll have their lunch at 1:30, so they won't have to have silent lunch, and they'll be completely focused. So please ensure that they eat breakfast, some kind of breakfast, either at home or at school the days of testing, Monday and Tuesday, so that they're not struggling with being cold in the room and hungry and just kind of uncomfortable with nervous about the test. Make sure you've taken care of at least one of those things. Please ensure that your child arrives early or on time to school on Monday and Tuesday. We like to get started with our tests before 9 o'clock if possible, so please ensure your children are here by the time the 8:20 bell rings and in their testing room. Make sure that your children wear layers so they're comfortable in any temperature. If their room is too hot, they can take off their jackets or sweaters, but if their room is cold, make sure that they have something they can put on, a jacket or a hoodie, some kind of sweater. Things we want to make sure our students do during the STAAR test, especially for math, use their STAAR chart. They are able to tear their STAAR chart out of the books. Make sure they tear it out and reference it for anything with conversions, anything with geometry or measurement. Make sure they look on there just in case, even if they don't know something, they may find a hint on there. Also, make sure they ask for a highlighter. If they would like to have a highlighter to use during the test, they have to ask the test administrators. They are not automatically given that highlighter. And most of all, we just want to make sure that they remain calm and positive. They have 4 hours to test. It's not about finishing the race early, but using their time wisely and doing their extreme best on the test. We want to just look at the breakdown for math. As you can see, Category 1 and Category 2 make up the majority of the questions for the math test. Category 3 and 4 combined are only 13. So if they get half of those, that will be successful combined with the other sections. So I'm just giving you some specific topics to make sure that you guys look over this weekend. 1. Classifying whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers using a Venn diagram. Locate, compare, and order integers and rational numbers using a number line. Make sure you practice and focus multiplying and dividing positive rational numbers fluently. Make sure they can add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. Make sure they can identify a number, its opposite, and what its absolute value is. Make sure they can generate equivalent forms of fractions, decimals, and percents using real-world problems, including problems that involve money. That they can represent ratios and percents with concrete models, fractions, and decimals. That they know their benchmark fractions such as 1%, 10%, 25, 33 and a third percent. That they can see them and identify them in a 10 by 10 grid with a strip diagram, a number line, or numbers. Make sure that they can give examples of ratios as multiplicative comparisons and multiplicative relationships and additive relationships. Make sure that they can convert units within a measurement system using the use of proportions and unit rates. That they can distinguish between an expression and an equation verbally, numerically, and algebraically. that they can model and solve one variable, one-step equations and inequalities that represent problems, including geometric concepts, that they can determine if the given value makes one variable, one-step equations or inequalities true. And last but not least, covered in category 1 and 2, we want to focus on graphing points in all four quadrants using ordered pairs of rational numbers, comparing the two rules verbally, numerically, and graphically, symbolically in the form of y equals ax or y equals x plus a, which is additive and multiplicative, and identifying independent versus dependent quantities from tables and graphs. This will cover most of the topics in category 1 and 2 that I just talked about. Again, remember geometry and data only are a few questions on the test, and the majority of the questions come from category 1 and 2. So in conclusion, our reminders are make sure they sleep well Sunday nights and Monday night, that they get a breakfast, that they bring a jacket, that they pack a book, and that they just stay calm and know that they've been taught all of these things. They've seen it before, they've learned it, that they can always go back and double check their work, and maybe another problem on the test will spark something in their brain or mind and help them to answer a question that they struggled with. Make sure they use their time wisely and that they don't spend way too much time per problem, and that they are just successful and they do their extreme very best. Let's take one quick look at the book. If you've seen this book around, this is the book the kids use for studying, the Everything I Learned in 6th Grade Math book. Make sure that they pull that out this weekend and reference it to help them be successful on their math test on Monday. Again, I thank you for listening and good luck on the STAAR.